I'm telling you, one day someone's going to come to you, a being of some kind, and say, do it. Just give me, and I'll give you all that you need. Gimme, come here, come here, and I'll give you everything you ever wanted. What do they want? Your soul. They want your soul. A simple exchange. Sell your soul. You'll get the career advancement that you like. Don't do it, because you'll end up, one day, you'll wake up, you'll go to the mirror, you'll look in the mirror, and you'll see Marco Rubio. That's what's going to happen. I'm warning you. I'm just warning you. You don't have to take my advice, but you should. So what do I mean? Well, this video says it all. We got the footage of Marco Rubio during the Zelensky meeting, and he's like disappearing into the couch. Marco Rubio, of course, is the former Republican senator, now Secretary of State, who went from saying that Trump is a con man and he can't be the face of the Republican Party, and we can never elect someone like him with his low character, to serving him and becoming a loyalist. And in exchange, he got the Secretary of State position. But at what cost? Look at this. Watch this, okay? I'm going to play it, and I just want to say, you don't have to credit me with it, but I'm going to play it despite it having copyrighted music, and so this video is going to be demonetized, but it's worth it because this video is so much funnier with the music behind it, where Trump is telling jokes and Marco Rubio stands behind him, and every ounce of energy he has exerts for him to go and smile, a pitiful smile, and then he snaps back to sad. And it says it all. Let me play it.
That could be the end of my political career, but I'll say it anyway. But you are beautiful, and you're beautiful inside. So I wish I had more reporters like you.
Oh wait, it glitched out a little bit. This is the key part.
Beautiful, and you're beautiful inside. So I wish I had more reporters like you. You covered Africa for a long time.
I've come to talk with you again.
That's solid. I covered even your
because a vision softly creeping.
Thank you. That's so nice of you.
Left its seeds while I was
beautiful, and you're beautiful inside. So I wish I had more reporters like you.
Okay, of course, the whole epicenter of this point is glitching out in the clip, but watch how abruptly he goes from laughing here, ha ha ha, snap, ha ha ha, snap, ha ha ha, snap. That's not how normal people laugh, okay? When you're laughing, you go, ha 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 ha, ha. It slowly wanes off your face. It's not, ha ha. That's a fake laugh. That's a soulless laugh, okay? You know what it reminded me of? Donald Trump Jr. And then we'll get to a bunch of Trump presser moments. I'm sorry, we have to go through them. A lot of important stuff came up and a lot of scary stuff came up. But here is Donald Trump Jr. getting asked if he would run for president, and the same smile snap thing happened.
After President Trump steps down, would you consider picking up the reins? Would you run for office?
Here we go. Well,
yeah.
Oh boy.
That, I know this is very visual, podcast listeners, you can just imagine, but imagine in 1 millisecond going from a smile to a straight frown. It's funny because I think in his case, he was realizing he had practiced in the mirror. He'd gone, all right, Donnie, you're so hot. Let's practice. Ready? Oh, what? Oh, me? Oh, gosh. No. Oh, okay. Well, if you guys say I should, right? That was the thing he had practiced, but the crowd wasn't actually that into it. So he had to go from, oh, wait, they're not clapping much. So then he snapped back.
Oh, boy. Well,
yeah. So they weren't really that excited. It's so funny. Oh, wait. Oh, my gosh. Okay. Before anyone's even laughing, he starts goading them. Very similar to Marco here. And it's glitching again. All right, you get the point. I think you get the point. I can't help the tech problems. I do apologize. But this brings us to Trump at a presser. And we recently covered the Iranian supreme leader, the Ayatollah, who was declaring victory himself. And Trump got asked about that and had this to say.
And no, I'm not worried about it at all. And I'm putting out a little statement. I'm going to respond to the Ayatollah's statement yesterday that we won the war. Oh, God, we won the war. And I said, look, you're a man of great faith, a man who's highly respected in his country. You have to tell the truth. You got beat to hell. And Israel was beat up too. They were both beat up. And it was a great time to end it. It was quick. They got the hate out. There was a lot of hate. A lot of hate. It would be great if they didn't have that hate. But the last thing they're thinking about is nuclear weapons right now.
This should terrify you to your core, that the U.S. president thinks that's how it works. They just had a lot of hate. And so, I took a boxing class and I just had all this rage and I would punch the bag, one of those little ones up here, and it would kind of get it out. And then I was done. And then a few weeks passed by, I'd get upset. I'd go to the gym, boom, 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 boom. I'd get it out. We'd be good. That's not how this works. You don't bomb someone into getting their hate out. Oh, they just need to drop a few bombs and then they would kind of get it out of their system. So this is the reporting that we talked about before moving forward. Iran's supreme leader claims victory. This is Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. And this was ridiculous as well, as we covered. Him saying that they were victorious and we just slapped the U.S. in the face and blah, 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 blah. So that's what authoritarians are going to do, of course, is try to convince his people. And this was the scary part of what could backfire about Trump's plan here, is that it seems the regime in Iran is going to use this to further tighten their grip by saying sorry. I mean, not sorry. They don't say sorry much, to be honest. Not sorry. Okay. But it serves as a justification and as a motivator to further tighten their grip on power, which is not good. So then Trump referenced in that presser that he had a post coming out teasing his big post was going to drop. And he said, why would the so-called supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei of the war-torn country of Iran say so blatantly and foolishly that he won the war with Israel? Because that's what he's going to do, obviously. Say so blatantly and foolishly, or so that when he knows his statement is a lie, it is not so. As a man of great faith, he is not supposed to lie. His country was decimated. His 3 evil nuclear sites were obliterated. And I knew exactly where he was sheltered and would not let Israel or the U.S. armed forces, by far the greatest and most powerful in the world, terminate his life like Trump wanted to terminate the Constitution. I saved him from a very ugly and ignominious death. And he does not have to say thank you, President Trump. In fact, in the final act of the war, I demanded that Israel bring back a very large group of planes, etc., etc., etc. So that's what Trump was saying there. The next thing he's going to be asked about is this reporting. NBC News reports the Supreme Court on Friday handed a major win, unfortunately, to the Trump administration by allowing it to take steps to implement its proposal to end automatic birthright citizenship. And the outcome here is that while that question, the merits of the question of birthright citizenship, which is constitutionally very clear, meaning you are born in the U.S., you're a U.S. citizen, but because of Trump's ambition for children of non-citizens to not have citizenship if they're born here, he's trying to get rid of that very clear constitutional principle in the 14th Amendment. And it didn't address that. It sent that question back down to the lower courts, but it did rein in the ability for federal courts to issue nationwide injunctions blocking some of the Trump administration's, at least on this issue, actions, which has been kind of one of our only lines of defense. And that is withering at the hands of the conservative Supreme Court as well. And so Trump was asked about that and had this to say. Let's see. Let me get this pulled up. There we go.
Thanks for this.
Oh, by the way, as we're going through this, please do, if you're not already, subscribe to the channel by clicking the subscribe button. It's free. Some people keep telling us that they're subscribed and then they go check and they're not subscribed. It's the deep state. I'm telling you. It's the deep state. They don't want you to be subscribed. Don't let them win.
Thanks for this decision, and thanks to this decision, we can now promptly file to proceed with numerous policies that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis. And some of the cases we're talking about would be ending birthright citizenship, which now comes to the fore. That was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for people trying to scam the system and come into the country on a vacation. This was, in fact, it was the same date, the exact same date, the end of the Civil War. It was meant for the babies of slaves, and it's so clean and so obvious. But this lets us go there and finally win that case, because hundreds of thousands of people are pouring into our country under birthright citizenship, and it wasn't meant for that reason. It was meant for the babies of slaves.
No, it was made for a fundamental principle of simplicity and clarity about what establishes citizenship. Adam Schiff said the Supreme Court just took away about the injunction, because that's really what it spoke to, not the birthright citizenship question. That's going to still be litigated, but the ability for federal courts, like I said, to issue nationwide injunctions. He said the Supreme Court just took away a powerful tool for standing up to a lawless president. Overturning decades of precedent does not make the court conservative, far from it, only dangerously partisan. Then you have Trump saying this.
Mr. President, what would you say to Americans who fear that this is more and more concentration of power in the White House and the executive?
Well, this really brings back the Constitution. This is what it's all about. And this is really the opposite of that. I mean, the question is fine, but it's the opposite. The Constitution has been brought back.
Now, it's honestly on a humanitarian, to continue on the point I was making before, principle. Imagine, I mean, the Trump administration has deported citizen children. So that's not, the Constitution here hasn't really stood in their way there, unfortunately, tragically, even children with cancer. But again, this principle is to protect from things like that, to make sure that people who have only ever lived, were born in the United States, were shaped by the United States, have really no connection to their parents' home country, from inhumanely being sent to a place they have no attachment to. One of the reasons it's a beneficial and important principle. Then this is really strange. Trump has made a couple times now a very exciting announcement that we made the deal with China. And producer Cole's not in, so we don't have the soundboard. But that's when we would hit the China soundbite. I know, you missed it. I'm sorry. He needs days off too. But what's fascinating about this to me is that there isn't one. There's not a deal with China. So the fact that there is really cool, because there's not one. And so it's kind of like, all my friends growing up had, or when I was really young, they had imaginary friends. And I was so sad that I never had one. Was it a flaw in my imagination? Were the imaginary friends just too cool for me? Right? Like, I had friend Jaden growing up, right? He had imaginary friends. I didn't. And I thought, what the hell is what I thought as a kid. I said that. I said, well, shit. As a kid, I said that. I said, what? Why won't they ever come hang out with me? I look around. I don't have any imaginary friends. Now, I grew up and learned, Jaden was delusional and I wasn't. So it was actually okay. But I remember as a kid feeling left out. So what's fun about this is now if anyone else had that experience, we can have an imaginary deal with China that we have no details of, but he keeps saying that we made it.
Yeah, Mr. President, you have a deadline coming up on trade in 2 weeks. Which countries, if any, on trade, on tariffs, sir, which countries, if any, are close to agreements with the administration?
Well, that's an interesting question. We've made a deal with China. We've made a deal with probably 4 or 5 different countries. With the UK, it was a great deal for both. And we're in the process of making some others. But ultimately, in fact, Scott is here. And Howard Lutnick, these two guys have been doing an incredible job. And the people that work with them have been doing an incredible job. But, we have 200 countries. You could say 200 countries plus. We can't do that. So that is...
Mm-hmm. Well, except for you had said that you could. So that's a little stipulation. You remember 90 deals in 90 days? What are we, like 80 days into that? And how many deals do we have? We have one, I guess. There is a deal with the United Kingdom that's pretty unremarkable, pretty status quo. But then supposedly we have one with China, a trade deal, by the way, if you missed that. It's a trade deal. It's supposed to address the problems Trump has had, which launched us into the whole trade war with everybody. But he keeps saying, and then we don't get it. And then somebody got asked, one of his officials got asked, are there specifics that we can see? And they said, yes, this is the very type of deal that would have specifics. It has lots of specifics, and it has tabs, and it has subheadings, and it is words and paragraphs in it. Well, can we see it? Well, You will be able to see it once we secure it. But I thought you said you already made the deal. We did, and it's done, and it's completed, but there's a lot more to be done with it. But it's done, but there's a lot to actually... We called China. Does that count? We made a deal to talk. Unbelievable. And he continues to just kind of be like, I don't know what we're going to do with tariffs at any given point in time.
On July 9th, is that July 9th date set for tariffs to snap back, or could there be a...
We can do whatever we want. We could extend it. We could make it shorter. I'd like to make it shorter. I'd like to just send letters out to everybody. Congratulations, you're paying 25%.
We're paying 25%, our companies. So, what are... I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of it. What is it that we're supposed to take from deadlines? The whole thing was was it July 9th? July 9th, we have to have these trade deals secured, or we're going back to Retribution Day. Retribution Day. I did not mean to say that. I've had a lot of caffeine and no food today. Just caffeine and food. So I'm a little bit delirious, but that actually kind of fits. Liberation Day is what the day was. Tariffs, that was the threat. You have to make a deal with us that gives Trump what he wants. What does he want? I don't know. For us not to have a trade deficit, but he doesn't understand what that means, so it's kind of dumb. But all right, we got to eliminate trade deficit. Or we're going to re-implement the liberation retribution tariffs, and that's the threat. But then every time he gets asked, he's like, no, we'll bump it again. No, we'll bump it again. We'll keep extending the pause of the tariffs. But I thought the tariffs were the things that were going to bring back jobs. No, but they're good, but they're bad, but we're going to lower them, but we're going to raise them. And how did they get so high on China? Oh, I made them so high on China, so we're going to lower them. And the fact that I lowered them back to what they were before, or actually higher than they were before, is something you should credit me with, because I'm a genius deal maker. I just lowered the tariffs that I raised. What? I did the Marco face. Then on the 2020 election.
Is there any more information on the special prosecutor? So many Americans still have questions about the 2020 election. And speaking of rogue judges, would you consider appointing somebody at DOJ maybe to investigate the judges that allowed for the political persecution of you, your family, and your supporters during the Biden administration?
I love you. Who are you?
I'm Kara from Lindell TV.
Well, it's just a very nice question. And it's not a setup. I have no idea who you are, but I appreciate that question. All I can say is we're not here for that. I hope so. I hope they're doing a thing, because that election was rigged and stolen, and we can't allow that to happen. You know, a lot of people tell me...
It, of course, was not. I wanted to pause it because I don't want to give him the satisfaction of this story, but now I'm so curious what this story is. A lot of people come to me, they say, sir, you're so handsome. I say, wow. They say the 2020 election was so rigged. I say, I know. And they say, elections will never be free again. I say, well, what about 2024? Well, that one was, but before it wasn't. Right. Okay. If we lose next time, it's so rigged. Wow.
Stolen, and we can't allow that to happen. You know, a lot of people tell me, sir, you just won the greatest election in the history of...
See, I was kind of right.
That to happen. You know, a lot of people tell me, sir, you just won the greatest election in the history of our country. You won it numbers that won all 7 swing states, won the popular vote, won everything. Sir, go on with your life. And many people that say that, good people, friends of mine, then you have people that say that same thing, go on with your life, but you have to find out what happened, because you can't let that happen again. Look.
Wait. So she's calling for investigations into judges that ruled against Trump every time Rudy, who was literally in hearings farting, literally, Rudy with hair dye coming down his face, showing up thinking he was scheduling a meeting for the Four Seasons Hotel, and it was out in front of a Four Seasons Total Landscaping. Rudy would walk into the court and the judges would go, this is ridiculous. One time, literally, a judge said, are you bringing forward election fraud evidence? A question to that effect. And Rudy said no. Because once you're under oath, you can't just throw things out in every which direction. So apparently those judges have to be investigated according to this wacky reporter, which are the reporters now that the Trump administration is very pumped to let into the press briefing room. Doing reporting like, you won that election so bigly, why didn't they give it to you? And Trump says, I love you. Who are you? I love you. Which I'm sure he said a lot after one night stands cheating on his wife. But just focus. But where even was I? Now I'm just picturing the Stormy Daniels story with the magazine and the spanking, and it's just, I'm all out of whack, and he's on my screen, and it's just, I'm not liking it. But what is he saying? What are you saying?
That same thing, go on with your life, but you have to find out what happened, because you can't.
Oh, that's what it was. You have to find out what happened. You said you knew what happened. So again, I hear people saying this. Now that Trump's in charge, he should commission an investigation into the 2020 election to figure out what happened. But you guys told us that you already had the proof of what happened. We're still doing this rigmarole. It's 2025, and we're still doing this. And we're still doing the Medicaid lies. Trump this is so toxic. The most toxic way you could imagine, he's trying to gaslight people into believing that by hurting Medicaid, defunding Medicaid to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars, he's saving it. And the Democrats who want to continue funding fully Medicaid, they actually want to destroy it.
Instead of voting for a tax cut, they're voting for a tax increase of 68%. They're voting to destroy Social Security, destroy Medicare, and destroy Medicaid. And we're voting to make them perfect and to make them better, make them stronger and better. They're going to destroy Medicaid, and they're going to destroy Medicare, and Social Security will follow. If you vote for the Democrats, you're dead on those three things.
Yeah, so that's desperation from him, because he knows how politically bad it is that they're trading off tax cuts for the rich in exchange for cuts to Medicaid and SNAP food benefits. Two of the, I mean, you couldn't pick, other than like if there was a program that SNAP, specifically, but if you only said we're going to go and smother, we're going to spend money to go and smother kids who have cancer holding puppies. And in exchange, we're going to get tax cuts for rich. Like that would be the only scenario I could think of that's worse than saying, we want these tax cuts for the rich so bad that we're going to trade that amount of money, giving up that much revenue, and to compensate for it, we're going to cut food for low-income folks and healthcare for low-income folks. It is the cancerous child example. Literally. Nearly. And so he knows, so then he's just trying to flip it, but I don't know, if you think he's right there, like MAGA, I know you like him a lot for some reason. If you think that actually makes sense, that Democrats are trying to vote to destroy Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security, and Trump's voting to save it, I want to talk to you. And how do you not get scammed every day? Every day. Hi, I'm calling from stealyourmoney.com. Can you send me a Zelle that is $1,000? For what? Doesn't matter. Send it to me. Okay. Like, is that your day every day? Because this is the most ridiculous. He can't even think of a justification for it. It's just, you're saying we're destroying Medicaid? They are. Well, I know you are, but what are we? It's just, it's something else. Share your thoughts in the comments.